everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Qorent-Xperts podcast. My name is Tolulope Oga, your host, and it's always a delight to have you guys join us on every episode of the podcast. Thank you for the feedback, comments, reviews. You guys are the real MVP. As you already know, Qorent-Xperts is a podcast designed to give you subject matter expertise and insights across different topics in the tech ecosystem. We bring Qorent, which we brag about being the top 1% of the 1% of tech talent, to talk about different topics as it pertains to the tech ecosystem and their areas of specialization in general. As you already know, every episode is always packed with value back to back. And thank you so much for the feedback. Like I said previously, it's always a delight to host you. Today is not going to be different. I have with me a Qorent in the house in person of Alex Ogubike. She's a software engineer in core banking apps team here at Qore, and we are going to be discussing an interesting topic today. Just to give you guys a bit of a background, June is International Women in Engineering Day month, and it is basically a month where we celebrate inclusivity and having that female power in STEM, in engineering. And on the 23rd of June, worldwide, we're going to be celebrating female engineers across board. And this podcast episode is solely dedicated to every woman out there doing great and amazing things in tech and as well as engineering. You guys are the real MVP, and we're super delighted at the impact that you're making across the industry. So today, our topic is from bugs to breakthroughs, lessons from a woman in fintech engineering. And with me today, I have the pleasure of having Alexi on the call, a female software engineer here at Qore, and we're going to be just walking through Alex's journey in the fintech space in general and how she has come this far. So, as you know the drill, I'm going to read Alex's bio before we give her a rousing applause and welcome her to the podcast. Ogubike Alexandra is a software engineer in the core banking apps team at Qore. She brings a wealth of hands-on experience spanning the edutech, blockchain, and fintech sectors. As also a visionary founder of Qorent-Xperts, Alexandra is deeply committed to fostering innovation and growth within the tech industry. Alexandra actively contributes to the community as a global woman tech maker ambassador, championing collaboration and inclusivity. A passion for open source remains strong, with significant contributions to projects like the Alexa Network and PNS, a development of various NPMs and NuGets packages has resulted in over 12,000 cumulative downloads. Wow, amazing. Everyone with a rousing applause. Please welcome with me the amazing Alex Ogubike. Hey, Alex.
Hi, Tolu. Hi.
So delighted to have you on this episode of the podcast. Alex is a busy woman to catch, no cap. I know I tell you guys on the episodes that current are super busy people, but Alex is super busy and quite difficult to catch. And I'm super delighted that we're finally getting to do this. We value and honor your time, and I think we'll just get right into it. Welcome, Alex, again. Okay, so Alex, before we get into all the seriousness, journey at tech, yada yada yada, let's just play a quick this or that game. So top of my head, let me see. Coffee or juice, or like tea or juice?
I'll do juice.
Juice. Okay. Swallow or
Swallow.
Rice.
Swallow. I didn't want to
Swallow.
know.
is how fast you said swallow for me. Okay, awesome. So if you were not a female engineer and you were stuck with choosing just between these two professions, a lawyer or an accountant, which one would you go for?
Lawyer.
Lawyer. Interesting. Okay. Football or basketball?
This is a very hard one. I would say I feel like I'm betraying basketball, but I'll say football.
It's fine. Nobody's gonna know, but it's fine. Okay. Let's just do two more. Long hair or short hair?
Well, I would say short hair.
Short hair. Okay. Movies or books?
Books.
Okay. Let me see. Just one last one. Okay. If you want to be techie a bit, USSD or mobile banking?
Mobile banking.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. That was interesting. Okay. At least we've gotten to know a little bit about Alex. So, Alex, just tell us one random fact about you before we get right into the question. One random fact about you that not everybody knows.
Okay. I would say I am not entirely an extrovert.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not entirely an extrovert, yeah.
Okay, so most people mistake you for an extrovert.
Yeah. Because I have a lot of energy, so people just think, oh, she must be an extrovert.
Interesting. Okay, so putting it out there, PSA, public service announcement, though I'm saying it quietly, Alex is not an extrovert, just so you know. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to get right into the question. I'm super excited about this. I personally am passionate about all things women, championing the cause of women and things like that. And this month being International Women in Engineering Month, felt really keen to discuss the subject matter. I know it's very easy. There's just this thing going around like every time it's women. But the truth is that the statistics don't lie. Globally, I might have to check the stats to be double sure, but last I checked, I think it was about 13.5 globally women that are involved in tech or STEM related roles. And I mean, it might feel like, oh yes, the whole attention is on women. I mean, there's International Women's Day, there's this about women and everything, but it's just a key thing that needs to be addressed because the statistics don't lie. So we're going to be talking about the topic from bugs to breakthrough, lessons from a woman in fintech engineering. And as I said, Alex is our champion for today. Awesome. So, Alex, tell us about your journey into engineering. What really sparked your interest, and how did you find yourself in the world of fintech? Because there is that perception that engineering is for guys. So it involves gruesome work. It involves thinking, calculation, what have you. So, what inspired and sparked your interest to say, I'm gonna do engineering, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, so my journey into engineering is a very interesting one because first and foremost, I did not study computer engineering or computer science or any of the other engineering courses. I studied biochemistry. So sometime in my third year, I encountered someone. Sometimes in my spare time, I'm into cinematography, so I usually go to studios to just hang around and learn some stuff. So while I was there, I met this guy who was, he was just typing frantically on his PC. And I was wondering, okay, "Hi, what are you doing?" And the guy did not even, he didn't say nothing to me. He didn't respond. He just gave me one kind of mind your business kind of eye, and he he literally did not say anything. So I was very curious, but I was able to look into his screen. So I started asking around. And that was when I came to know about web development, right? Just web development. So a while, like some months later, I got the chance to work at my school's ICT. And while I was at my school's ICT, I encountered some software engineers, right? And that was when I just started learning. So I started learning on my own. And as time went on, I joined a couple of internships, and that was how my journey into engineering basically started. Now, how did I get into the world of fintech? So sometime in 2022, there was this like, I don't know if you remember this whole thing that happened with, there was this Ponzi scheme that happened when Nigerians got a hold of the whole blockchain thing. And like there was this Ponzi, there was a lot of Ponzi schemes that happened around that time, with blockchain being what they said was backing it. So at that point, I lost a lot of money, and I was curious once again. I wanted to know, okay, what exactly is blockchain, and why are people using this as a means to scam me? So that was how I got into blockchain. Now, a couple of months later, I was really just fascinated by how technology could change a lot of things, especially things that involved finances, how we could make things a lot more accessible and efficient. And considering how the blockchain has a lot of issues with user experience, so the major issue with adoption is just user experience. So I was just really fascinated by the idea. So I joined some of my friends, and we started building a couple of things in the fintech space, specifically on the blockchain infrastructure, right? And that was literally it. So the first thing we built was we built an on-ramp and off-ramp OTC DEX, right, where people could do different things. You could convert your fiat currency into crypto, send over crypto, those things around that. And personally, I see fintech as a dynamic field, right? Fintech is very dynamic, and it's one part where you can see the very solid impact of engineering. In the past couple of years, we have seen how the recent innovations and things around payment, how much it has changed things. And so I'm very excited, because I know that things would always get better. There would always be new things to learn. There would always be, there will always be something new to pursue and learn. And so that's why I am loving this space right now.
Amazing. Wow, I really love your story. I love your story because I can see clearly that what brought you into tech and the fintech space, as it were, was a personal experience, and you trying to solve a problem that you encountered, and then voila, see how the journey has progressed. It's so beautiful to see, and I particularly love that you studied biochemistry. So this is this is a word to someone out there who probably wants to pivot into tech, but it's like, nah, I didn't study tech or computer engineering or electronic engineering in school. Like, the world is not a global village, and people are transitioning between industries at the speed of light. And beautiful, you have an awesome story and an inspiring story. Thank you, Alex, for sharing that. So I know you sort of answered this question, but I'm going to still ask, just in case you want to buttress, or probably there was even another experience. What was your first ever experience solving a problem using engineering? I think you mentioned something similar when you were talking about your story and how you got into engineering, but are there other problems that you had solved using engineering that you want to share?
Okay, sure. So I think one very important thing to note is I like to look around me and, as much as possible, solve problems around me. So while I was in university, right? I studied at University of Nigeria. So while I was in university, I encountered a lot of issues with hostels, right? So I don't know if you've ever heard the UNN gist about how to get hostels. It's a very, very, it's a very strenuous activity. So usually because there are a lot of students trying to get, it's like, just imagine thousands of people trying to get allocations for just a few, for just a few people. So it's always very stressful. Usually the application would kick you out, like you would log in and you get kicked out, and just many different things around that. And it was very frustrating, right? So after I left school, I had the chance to work in a company that specializes 100% on building school management systems. And that was solid for me, because I had the opportunity to rebuild their legacy system. So at the time I joined in, they had a legacy system and they wanted to move into a newer version of a newer technology, basically. So I had the opportunity to rebuild the legacy system, right? And this involved helping to, of course, just rebuild the course management system, rebuild things around the hostel management system. And it was very personal to me, because I know where I was coming from, and based on this is a particular issue I and practically every single person that I know from school have actually encountered. So having the chance to work on this, right, having the chance to actually be able to contribute to that particular solution is something that I hold very dear to my heart, right? And that was one of the largest contribution I did as a person, right? And then so that's that's, I would say, I had other experiences before then solving problems, but that particular one just resonated so much with home that I would say it's my first major personal experience, really.
Amazing. I really find this interesting, because I totally believe that at the core of engineering is not just about writing codes, debugging things, and what have you. It's about building things that actually solve the problem for the everyday person.
Yeah.
Basically, exactly, that engineering that actually meets a need is what's doing in the first place, and I absolutely love that. Awesome. Okay, so now let's switch it up a bit. So how do you approach problem solving when dealing with high pressure engineering challenges, particularly in fintech? Just walk us through your process.
So I think one thing I've learned and I've had experience with is the fintech space is a high pressured space. And what that means is, because it's things that usually involves funds, there's always, so just imagine, maybe you, for example, maybe you make a transfer and somehow it just gets stuck. You just start thinking to yourself, this people should never even joke with me, that kind of thing. Like, you don't want to know what's happening underneath. The most important thing is that my money is hanging somewhere. So there's a lot of pressure. Generally, there's a lot of pressure in the fintech space. And so I have had experience where I've seen that, okay, like, people trying to pressure you, oh my god, this is happening, and then you just try to use that. If you try to use that, that's like the level of pressure you're experiencing to solve the problems, you make mistakes. And usually mistakes around mistakes that are happening in the fintech space are always costly mistakes. So what I do, right, is to ensure that I'm approaching problems by being first by calming myself and understanding that whatever the result of whatever it is I'm going to do is not going to, like, the results would not, like, nobody's going to ask, oh, did you do this under pressure or not, right? So first, I like to focus clearly, right, to understand the problem. Okay, so when you understand the problem, you have an understanding of what the impact is. And usually understanding the problem usually involves trying to break it down as much as possible. So no matter how complex it is, right, try to break it down into smaller issues that are more manageable, right? It's easier to walk from one point to another point if you try to look at problems, especially in this space. If you try to look at problems holistically, you would lose heart really quickly, because usually the fintech engineering involves a lot of moving parts. So it's not just a direct thing. There's always one service talking to another service, like a third party coming in here, just many different things coming together to basically be whatever it is that is happening. Right, so this would of course involve gathering as much information as possible, especially if maybe you join a company where maybe you were not originally part of the team that built maybe the first version of the application, right? And you now encounter a problem that needs to be solved. There would always be, the point where you have to gather as much information as possible, monitor whatever it is that needs to be monitored, and most importantly, ensure you are speaking to the people who existed on the team before you. So this is something that has really helped me, especially here at Qore, right? Having teammates who are always willing to, jump on calls with you, explain stuff to you, and tell you, okay, this is how it is. So clear communication actually helps a lot, right? So because as much as my job revolves around working with code and stuff, there's also the important part you cannot remove, which is the part of human beings, right? Communicating with people and telling them, okay, this is the issue I'm having and stuff like that. So I believe that no matter how much of high pressure a scenario has, right, there is the importance of testing, validating, ensuring that what you are doing actually works, so that you don't end up introducing just bigger issues, right? And I think that's it for me. Yeah.
Awesome. I hear you loud and clear. I know you've spoken to the fact that communication is super important across board, and I totally agree. The fintech space is one of the high pressured spaces. I mean, anything that has to do with money, anything that has to do with like people entrusting their money to you, that's a lot of trust, that's a lot of pressure there. From tech ops side, across board, across any role, there is just that pressure that is spread along everything. Now imagine being at the back end that really powers how the product works and everything at the end of the day. I love what you said about communication, super important across board, asking questions, just having that sync across board as a team. And then you talking about testing, validating whatever solution you are creating, so that you're not shipping something out there that is faulty and then it all backfires at the end of the day. There is that part of, no matter the pressure, ensuring that what you are doing is actually foolproof and well tested, so that at the end of the day, it's not a case of we should have just started from the scratch. We should have just taken our time in that sense. And I really, really love that. Awesome. So my next question, what is that one fintech innovation or engineering solution you have contributed to that you're really proud of, particularly fintech engineering?
One fintech solution I am particularly proud of, right, would involve a time when I had a chance to automate some high volume crypto withdrawals for different networks, right? So this was, I'm speaking, when I say networks now, I mean blockchain networks, so Base, BP20, Ethereum, Polygon, and so on. Now, for the reason why this was particularly important was because the service was a on-ramp and off-ramp system. So what happens was the client had a kind of wallet, right, where they held funds. So say, for example, I come and I say, maybe I want to convert 100 USDT to maybe Nigerian Naira. And what will happen is the service is supposed to be able to process that and actually disburse the equivalent amount of Nigerian Naira to me, right? But because of there were some manual things that was happening in the system, like there were some manual interventions that were required initially. So that made the system to overall just like the process was a bit clunky and just slow. Okay, so I automated that, and doing that reduced, like it significantly reduced the amount of time it took for people to do withdrawals. And of course, it doesn't matter the complexity of what you are building. It doesn't matter how awesome what you are building is. If people are not, like basically people in this case, your clients, if your customers are not happy with the user experience, it just doesn't matter how awesome what you're building is. So this particular change, right, it made it really awesome. Now, I think a second one was when so still for this project, I'll just stick with this project. So a second one was when there was this whole issue of, now people, we now had an automated system, and that was fine, right? We now had an automated system, that was fine. But there was the issue of when someone makes a withdrawal, right? Or people keep making withdrawals, we get to the point where the funds in the wallet is no longer enough to service the amount of withdrawals that people want to make. So say, for example, the wallet is only able to say, is only able to service say 1,000 customers who cumulatively want to withdraw say 4,000, 5,000 US dollars. So we now found out that what will happen was the service would just the service was not telling people that there's no money in the wallet, obviously, but the service was just breaking. And so the way to now know that something is happening was if we notice that there is some breaking, like some kind of issues with automation, some kind of issues with withdrawals rather, we would now go and fix, right, and see that truly there are no funds in this wallet, fund the wallet. So what I did was to build a monitoring system around that, so such that, say we have I'll use my same example. So say we have say 20 people who want to make transactions that total say $50,000, and the wallet can only service $10,000. What happens is the service would select, like the service would do a selective withdrawal, such that it will pick people who together, like if you add their transaction, it would cumulatively be equal to the $10,000 that we can service or less, right? So that it just doesn't block everybody out. Instead, it would pick people it would actually service, and then while that is happening, even before it's actually sent out the funds to those guys, it would send messages to all the stakeholders so that they are aware that it's time to fund. So this just made things way better, because now we had people who were saying, okay, because I had a lesser amount, I was able to withdraw, and we could easily pick up the issues before it's escalated. So that was something that's
Awesome. My next question for you, Alex. So, I've interviewed quite a number, or I've spoken with quite a number of female engineers. It's lonely at the top. It's lonely on the journey, basically, because of the low representation we have of female engineers currently across the world. So who are some of the women, or it could be men in this case, who have mentored or inspired you, or they impact you?
Okay, so I like to say that I am a product of mentorship. I like to, I can't even speak about my journey without mentioning a number of people, and this actually involve both men and women. Like a lot of people have actually been very, very solid pillars to my career, right? And I think the first person I would speak of is Chidebe Ona, right? He's a guy, and so he's a senior engineer I worked with early in my career, and he literally taught me. So I spent a year under him, and he taught me a lot of the foundational knowledge I have now, right? He taught me a lot of things, and he was someone who encouraged me a lot to step outside of my comfort zone. Like, he was somebody that pushed me. Like, I remember times when he would give me books. Obviously, books that I'm speaking of books that have like 1,400 pages, and he would tell me to read it in 3 days, with no smiles on his face. Like, he's telling me in 3 days you're coming to, and I'm like, how? This book was not even written in. I'm sure this book was not even written in 1 year, But like, that was the kind of training this person gave me, and I saw how much it's helped my journey. Now, somebody else who has really, really been a solid influence to my life is Olamiposi Ekuma. So Ekuma is someone who I spent time with, of course, also physically. So I saw how successful she became, or she was, or rather she is, and I could also see the work that went through behind the scenes. Like, speaking with her and also learning, because as human beings, we learn a lot by what people do. We learn more by actions than by words people tell us. And her actions taught me a lot, because she had a lot of resilience. She had a lot of grit. Like, she was a daring person. And in the world of tech, like, whenever I think of a woman in tech that I would like to be like, I just think about her, right? And so that has been something that has just guided my journey, where I see myself in certain situations. I'm like, okay, what would Ekuma do, right? So she's the second one. Now, another person that I really admire a lot, I have had person that has really influenced my life a lot, is Napa Onusa. Now, I do not have as much of a personal relationship as I have with Chidebe Ona and Ekuma with Napa. So with Napa, it's more of once in a while interactions, but just looking at her life, looking at her journey, looking at just hearing her stories, and being in the same space with her has really impacted my life a lot, right? That's really, really impacted my life a lot. And I love the fact that she gives off the vibe of fearless. She gives off the vibe of, well, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And the like, another thing I really love about her is her humility. Okay, so every time I have had a chance to interact, it has not been like I've had a chance to interact with her, or even maybe just listen to her speak. It has always given off the like, you can see that this person has gone through different stages of life and has an understanding of what people are worth, of knowing how to really treat people. And I think it's something I personally try to incorporate into my life a lot. I like to treat people right as much as possible. Now, the final person, I know, of course, many people, the final person I would like to speak about is somebody who known for a while. So his name is Emmanuel Okoye, right? He's someone who I've known for a while, but so I would say actively in this present time, he is my most active mentor, right? And he has, in the past 24 months, he has shaped my life in ways I cannot even speak about on this podcast. But he's one of the best engineers I know as a person. And I like how his engineering goes way beyond code. It goes into day-to-day, it goes into everything. And you could see how software engineer literally can make a person way better as a human being by just looking at this young man. So these are the people that have really and are still actively shaping and helping my life as mentors, and I really appreciate them.
Amazing. I particularly love that. I mean, you mentioned like close to 3 or 4 people that have helped you on your journey, and that's so beautiful.
And I have more.
And you have more, right? That's amazing. I can see a lot of intentionality, and because the truth is that that phrase when you say we rise by lifting others, the truth is we can't really get to the peak of our careers and things that we aspire and dreams without leaning on the shoulders, insights, and just knowledge basically gone ahead of us. It's simple logic basically to just say, okay, this person has done what I'm looking to do. Why apply the same effort and energy where I can simply just gain the insights? What did you do? What worked? And that's beautiful to see that the journey has not been lonely for you in that sense. You've had people who are doing awesome things that you are looking to do, and they've sort of inspired you on your journey. And I know for a fact that has also stirred you up to also want to inspire the next generation of upcoming engineers, because you've been there, you've had people pull you up, so you definitely want to pass that same experience and leverage to other people that are coming behind you, which is awesome. Okay, so we're gradually coming to the end of this podcast. It has been an awesome and very, very insightful conversation. So there is this thing about imposter syndrome. I mean, I'm particularly interested in hearing your view on this particular question, because I mean, you didn't have a tech background, you learned code, and now you are here doing awesome stuff. Has there been this imposter syndrome in your role, and also being a woman in engineering? I believe that part of self-doubt is one thing that really holds women back generally. I've seen men in similar roles be more bullish in terms of like, this is what I'm worth, this is what I can do, without any second thoughts. And I've seen many women hesitate. Oh, am I good enough? Can I do this? Can I pull this off? Meanwhile, they are super competent and super good at what they do. So have you ever faced imposter syndrome in your role and in your journey as a female engineer generally? And how have you been able to overcome it?
So imposter syndrome is something I have experienced a lot. And I think it's something a lot. I don't know if there's anyone, I've never heard of any person in this life who has not experienced imposter syndrome. If there's anybody, please, I would like to hear your testimony, right? And for me, right, the way, like, I think it's not something you overcome once and forever it remains overcome. I think it's something you have to remind yourself as often as possible. And for me, my mindset is like the mindset I have come to embrace over time is simple. No matter who a person is, a person who has 30 years of experience doing anything, once upon a time did not have any experience doing that thing. So every expert was once a beginner. Right? So that mindset of I just need to keep getting better is something that has like taken me far and wide, for reals, right? Because sometimes just understanding or just looking at the amount of things or the number of things that you need to learn will make you feel like, oh my, I probably don't know anything already. Okay, joining a team and having to really understand the technology that's not even technology that they use, like the domain level knowledge of the company itself, and then seeing other people who already have who have already grasped the idea and the concepts and everything of what is happening in that company can sometimes bring up the feeling of, am I even sure I should be here? All those things. But then when I remember that everybody, even the founder of the company, once upon a time, there was a time they did not even have the knowledge of the company. And if it's for a particular technology, I think everybody, even the people who created the technology in the first place, there was actually a time when these people did not know anything about this. So, I mean, there's no pressure. Okay, I've learned that the key to just overcome it is simply to acknowledge the feeling that, yes, I mean, this feeling is there, right? I don't see life as a marathon. I see life as, so I don't see life as a sprint. I see life as a marathon. And another thing is what I have learned about, if you actively, so this is for anyone listening. So if you actively experience imposter syndrome and you find yourself always feeling like you are probably not good enough, number one thing is actually make sure you are good enough. Right? So imposter syndrome could also come from you actually not knowing anything. That is that is actually possible. So there's a different thing when you don't know anything and you feel like, oh my, I need to know more, right? And there's the actual point where you actually do not know. Okay, so the first thing is to ensure you give yourself a lot more evidence. So whenever it comes, you remind yourself that I was the one that built XYZ project. I was the one that spoke on XYZ stage. I was the one that did this. I was the one that did that. Now, when you start confronting imposter syndrome with evidence of what you have achieved as a person, you find that it becomes weak and it leaves. Right? I like to believe it's one evil spirit like this that comes and tries to bring you down. Sincerely, that comes and tries to bring you down. But you have to always focus on your accomplishment. That's what I do. I focus on my accomplishments. I focus on the value I know I can bring. Right? And of course, I seek feedback as much as possible from people who are above me, and then I keep learning. Like, I just keep learning. Like, that's just my mantra. Just learn more, keep learning, learn more, and learning, doing more things, and just recognizing, of course, that everybody feels this, and this is really just part of the growth process. It helps make it a seamless one. Yeah.
Amazing. Like, what you said is so spot on, and I think this will be one of the highlights of this our conversation, because like you said, there's literally nobody that was just born with this power of confidence and what have you, that is just so good at what they do. Everybody grows into like competence in that sense, and it is just that part of, I love the fact that you put a balance to it. Sometimes you might not be feeling like you can do it because you actually don't have the skill set to do it. So while we are cheering people up to say, yes, you are enough, you can do these things like that, there's also that balance of telling people that you have to consciously put in the work to grow and sharpen your competence at the end of the day. And it's then easier to be confident when you look at a track record of what you have done by reason of applying yourself over time. Amazing. And like you said, it never really leaves, because we move from one stage of results to the next. At least that's one of the hallmarks of growth. So with every stage comes like a new level of challenge, and you need to like rise up to it. So awesome. Amazing. So as we wrap up this conversation, my last question to you, because one of the aim for us here at Qore, even at this inward celebration, is basically to be able to inspire the next generation of STEM leaders, helping girls to see that despite the stereotype of, engineering is hard, STEM is hard, why not just go and do something that is easier, less brain tasking in that sense. You are built to be able to do this. It's not a stereotype profession, as it were. STEM is not just for a particular gender.
Whenever we hear trust the process, I mean, everybody just says trust the process, we go again today. Trust the process, we go again today. I can tell you firsthand that I have, I understand that at a personal level, because there's a lot of noise, right? And then it feels like the world is in a hurry to achieve a lot of things. Like, it feels like things are moving faster than things are now moving faster than the speed of light. Everybody's just in a hurry, rushing somewhere. And it's easy to get, stuck and or lost in that whole hype, that whole noise. It's easy to just forget that, okay, the life we live is literally a life of process, right? Never has it ever been heard that a tree was planted and tomorrow that tree became mighty and had all the fruits. Everything in life follows process. Seed time and harvest time. Simple, right? And this was something I did not know for a while. And so I basically forgot the process, and a lot of my mindset, a lot of like what I wanted at that point was just, so as much as possible jump and achieve as much as I could. But then this is to my younger self. You can do literally, you can do all things. Okay, progress takes time. Success. Progress takes time. In physics, we say the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So what that means is, anytime you start looking for shortcuts, you're automatically elongating your own journey, because there really is no shortcut to success, right? So I would say, believe in yourself, right? Be more confident in your own abilities. Okay, do not be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to look stupid when it comes to learning. No, like, just, it doesn't matter who thinks, oh, this person is not very smart. Ask questions, get clarifications. Do not be afraid to ask basic or stupid questions, in quotes. Right? I would also emphasize the importance of building a strong network. Like I said, I was raised by a lot of people. Okay, and so I've seen the importance of network. So prioritize people. Like, I don't know how to emphasize this more than anything, but prioritize human beings, prioritize people. People often do not forget how you make them feel, and that's the truth. People don't forget how you make them feel. So it doesn't even matter how many times you encounter a person. If you make a person feel great, if you make a person feel seen, if you make a person feel appreciated, even if it's one time, even if it's just 30 minutes of encountering that person, they will remember you for a long time, right? And that's something that goes a long way. Okay, and I think the final thing I would say is embrace failure, right? The only reason I have been able to achieve a lot of things that I have achieved in my life now is because I have failed at a lot of things, right? So embrace failure. There's always this there's always been this thing where sometimes I run away from doing certain things because, oh my, I'm afraid to fail. But then I realized that, okay, the more I fail, literally, like, failure is just an attempt of something that did not work, meaning you've learned of one way something would not work, right? Which is something you cannot learn. You cannot learn without trying. And sometimes you need to fail enough times to be able to actually understand the right part. So embrace failure, right? And stay curious as much as possible. So curiosity is what has also led me to where I am today. So my younger self, you can do it. Stay curious, prioritize people, do not be afraid to ask questions. That's what I would say.
Amazing. You've stated like 5 lessons in just one breath. So you've said, stay curious, don't be afraid to fail, learn as much as you can, growth, have a growth mindset, keep learning. And yeah, amazing. And I'm sure that that's not just something that you're telling your younger self. It's also applicable to other people who are coming, other women who would also like to switch into tech or grow in their STEM careers in general. Alex, this has been an awesome and insightful conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yes, I did. It has been fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, guys, on the other side of the podcast listening. Thank you so much. And till we come your way again on another episode of the podcast, keep being courageous and keep being amazing. Bye, everyone.